You're listening to No Plot, Only Lore, a podcast about games and the tables we play them at. Your DMs tonight and every night are Josh and Chris. You can find us on all podcast platforms or check us out at noplotonlylore.com. If you like what you hear today, please rate and review the show and share it with everyone you've ever met.
Welcome back to No Plot, Only Lore, this week brought to you by the Victoria College of Art. Do you want a diploma in applied art in animation? Do you want to learn how to make doodles move? Well, you can't, because the Victoria College of Art is closed and my art degree means nothing.
I mean, it's an art degree. It already meant nothing, but you can't get the same one anymore, so maybe now it has like a collectible rarity sort of taste to it.
Be still my heart. Oh, man, that hurt.
I understand that the truth is sometimes hard to hear, but yeah. Unfortunately, art. And not only is an art degree just sort of inherently valueless, but you have also not been using it. So,
haven't had a ton of opportunity. I've had 2 jobs that have actually used my degree, and they were both gigs, and they both paid. But Victoria is not exactly an animation hub.
No.
The plan was to get to Vancouver at one point.
Oh, you got so close.
I got divorced, and that kind of derailed that plan. So now I'm in tech support, and I make a podcast with my friend on Wednesdays.
Yeah, but like Vancouver's like across the river. Like you could just go there.
Yeah. I mean, I'd have to be able to drive, which is also a thing in Vancouver, or at least like know my way around the city enough to be able to start dropping portfolios and things off. But I mean, that has not happened. So
yeah, Vancouver's not exactly commuter friendly.
No, and like getting there costs a fortune. Not necessarily in money, but like just in time. Like if you want to get to Vancouver, it is a 2.5-hour ferry that you have to get to from Victoria, which is like a 45-minute drive from Victoria to Sydney.
Right.
Then from the ferry in Vancouver, it takes like another hour by bus to get into Vancouver proper.
Mm-hmm. That sounds terrible.
That's your whole day. That's your whole day. It's like driving to Edmonton, but you're going to stop in Saskatoon first.
That's for those of you who don't know Canadian geography, that is the most counterintuitive way you could ever do that.
Yeah. So last week, you hit on an interesting topic that I kind of wanted to discuss more.
I assure you it was by accident.
Well, sometimes when you are playing a game, and this is true, I think, for all games of every type, like the place that I am most familiar with this concept is actually from video gaming.
Okay.
But sometimes when you're playing a game, the mechanics of the game and the narrative of the game do not line up very well at all.
Right.
So you're playing through a game, and I think the game that I came into contact with this first, and I think it might have actually been the game that started people talking about the term in the first place, was a game called Spec Ops: The Line.
Oh yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
Okay, so for people who have not heard of Spec Ops: The Line, it is a military simulation game that came out many years ago, where you are playing a person in the American military in a foreign theater.
Right.
And the only way to solve problems in the game is with hyperviolence. Like you have to kill people. You have to like do a violence, or at least it seems that way, according to the way that the game is laid out. And then it punishes you for violence in the narrative. Right.
It's like trying to teach you a lesson.
Yeah, it's a game that's trying to say something.
Sure.
But like, yeah, you would get into a loading screen after like killing a dozen people, and it would just be completely covered in blood with the words, "Are you having fun yet?" like in the bottom of the loading corner. Right?
Okay.
Like, it's narratively was very anti-violence and was trying to prove the point of like the violence is unnecessary and we don't actually do that through the medium of violence.
Right.
And that creates emotional dissonance, right? The feeling of not harmonizing with this thing because you're doing the thing that the game is rewarding you for, the thing is pushing you towards, but the narrative that you are attached to in that is actively against the win condition.
Right.
And so ludonarrative dissonance is a thing that I think we've all experienced.
Even if we didn't know what the name was?
Even if we didn't know what the name was. Probably especially if we didn't know what the name was.
Yeah,
It's the philosophical urge to put a name on everything that is as Latin and confusing as possible.
Right.
Have you dealt with this in role-playing game scenarios? Like, I think we did touch on that a little bit in our last episode.
I'm trying to remember what I said.
I also don't remember what you said, for the record.
Yeah, I don't know if I've dealt with it specifically in role-playing games. I mean, I've dealt with, like... So, like, my best example of this, just, like, to my mind, existing period, is, like, quick time scenes in video games, right? Mm-hmm. Where it's, like, here's this, like, intricate, delicate thing possibly happening, and then my solution is to just mash a button. Which, like, yeah, like, doesn't feel good or right at all. But it is what it is. Like, that's just how... that's the limits of the game, right? I think, too... I don't know if you've seen that clip where Oscar and another gentleman on one of the Game Changer episodes... Was it Game Changer? Anyways, one of those dropout shows have to try to have a dramatic, intense conversation between Mario and his brother Luigi, and then it cuts to the gameplay, and it's literally like Mario 2 level, just bouncing straight up and down, useless gameplay, right?
Yeah. And that is very much an illustration of the ludonarrative dissonance, of just like the cutscene has all of this like big emotional weight to it, and then you move a tiny chibi anime figure one space and hit the A button to go to the next level.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't create a cohesive feeling, a harmonious feeling. It's got a very strong disconnect between the two. Mm-hmm. In role-playing games, I think the place where I see it most often is in Fortune in the Middle type systems, where you declare your action, then you roll your dice.
Right.
So you have this idea in your head of what that action is going to be. Right? I am a badass monk. I punch and kick for a living. I am good at these things. I am going to punch kick the dragon 17 times, and then everything is going to be great. And then you roll 2s and 1s for the entire thing, and you're fucking with it.
Oh, you mean like how I died?
Not to put too fine a point on it. Yeah, basically that thing, right?
Yeah.
You have an expectation of your character's capabilities based on like the narrative history that you have, or like a really good example of this as well is like the 15-page backstory.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Which just does not matter at all because you're creating a level 1 character.
Exactly, right? Like, my character is a war veteran from the last war. He spent the last 12 years fighting against enemies from without and within. He's grizzled and hard, and he's got 4 hit points, and he has a sword that does 1d6 damage.
Oh no, rat! Better run!
Yeah. So, like, those kinds of experiences, I feel, are kind of wrapped up in the ludonarrative dissonance idea, and I think that there are some reasons for that. And it kind of comes down to like what you expect from games. So like we haven't gotten too heavy into like the philosophy of aesthetics on the podcast for what I feel are obvious reasons.
Yeah. Because you will ramble for 2 hours and I will space out and stare at the roof.
Like we're doing right now, yeah. So, I guess, like, what do you think game is? Just, like, at its very basic. The foundation. What is game?
Like, all games, or just, like the concept of game?
The concept of game.
The concept of game, at its core, is distraction from boredom.
Okay. That is interesting.
What?
So, like... Oh, it's a broader definition than I expected, I think.
Oh, okay.
Because, like, C. Ty Nguyen has a definition that involves conflict that I'm not, like, super keen on. His whole idea is, like, game is striving against imagined obstacles towards a value that doesn't actually exist outside of that game.
Okay, but why?
Well, that's the thing, right? Like,
So, like, to my point, kids invent games all the time that are just doing a thing with an objective. Like, they're not even necessarily, like, striving against obstacles. It's just like, I just want to see a thing happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
like,
and
I feel like humanity's been inventing games like that since they needed to do something when they weren't hunting. Like, once we were able to meet our basic needs efficiently, then we started having free time, and games were what we did to fill the free time. And sometimes games turned into, like, acquiring more knowledge of the world around us through the games we played, or acquiring information about each other. But at the end of the day, we were just filling time.
I feel like the learning things about the world thing is probably more core to it than you might think. Where, like, one of the definitions of game, and I can't remember who it was who said it, so I'm not going to start naming philosophers, but, like, the idea is that games allow you to try on values.
Okay.
Right. In a circumstance where the result of an action doesn't actually matter, you get to try on the idea of a value. So, like, points really fucking matter.
Okay.
Right? The acquiring of points really fucking matters in the game.
Okay.
Right? That's the value that you're trying on, is that points matter, and I am going to accumulate as many of them as possible.
Okay.
And then you get to try that on for a while. It's kind of like the same thing as, like, a horror movie, where, like, you're in a safe place, you're surrounded by people that you love and appreciate, you are not in actual danger, but you get to feel some fear anyway.
Right. Okay.
And so this is kind of that, where you get to try on a idea, a value in a safe environment, see how it feels, play around with it a little bit, and then give it up at the end of the game.
Okay.
Right. And then there's a few other definitions that people run with. So, like, C. Nguyen's thing is, like, the striving against imaginary obstacles to one of those values, right? So, like, the value exists. You're going to strive against imagined obstacles to get to it. I don't think you actually need the obstacles. I think you just need to, like, do an activity while wearing that value idea, I guess. Not just, like, kickball, no hands is a value in this case, right? Like, if you touch ball with hands, hands bad.
I'm trying to, because, like, to my mind, some of those things come about through, like, a secondary application, where it's like game plus physicality, or game plus curiosity, or game without curiosity. Like, game plus curiosity, you get like science. But game without curiosity, you get like, I don't know, puzzles. Like things, game plus physicality, you get sport, right? Like, like I think the problem with these definitions is that they're applying themselves to a secondary phase of game and not looking at the core of game.
Well, that's part of the philosophy experience, right? Like trying to figure out what the core of a thing is actually really fucking hard sometimes. Both because everybody's experience with it is going to be slightly different and subjective, right? Like my experience with game is different than your experience with game because I don't physicality. Like, I'm not a big fan of kickball game or like sports hand or whatever. Like, none of this matters to me. And so those are values that I don't try on.
Yeah.
I'm more in it for the art of the thing.
Right.
Like the creation of a shared lived experience.
Right. You want more like expression, more individual agency, I guess. Like in
Yeah, and I think like agency is definitely the medium of game. Like if we assume, and I know that this is not an assume that you like, but if we assume that game is art, then the medium of game would be agency, choice, the ability to make decisions in a game towards an end. Right? Like that's what you are.
I disagree with your assertion that I don't like that idea, but I think I have a different analysis of games as art.
Okay.
I think the player expression is not the art of it. Like there are definitely. So first of all, I don't think all games are art. Obviously, I think game itself can be a medium to tell people about your art. So whether that's video games or board games, there are people out there who are trying to express themselves artistically, and that is like when art happens, and like the art isn't in the expression of the player in the game. It's in the player sort of discovering what the designer was trying to say or trying to present to them.
Right. Okay, so for you, the art is mostly in the creator's hands, like the person who made the game?
In a lot of cases, yes. There are other games that art can happen for the player in the way that they express themselves, but that's just because the creator of the game has essentially given them a very large sandbox or a very wide canvas and the tools to create art within that medium. But the game itself is then just kind of tools, really. I mean, anyone who's made a dick in a video game that other people can see, like, has made art in a weird way.
No value judgment on the quality of the art.
No, but they have expressed themselves to other people using the medium of torn corpses in, the foothills of Hillsbrad. Like, it's...
You say that very specifically, and I believe that you may have drawn dicks in World of Warcraft.
Listen. Our listener may be familiar with there's I forget the specific name for it, but there's an expression. I think they straight up just call it time to dick, where in any video game production, how soon will people draw dicks in it, right? Using whatever resources you give them. Immediately.
World of Warcraft gave you an inventory you can organize. It 100% was dicks. As soon as somebody had enough wolf pelts.
Yeah. As soon as you could drop something that interacted with the world, you made dicks, whether it was in Dark Souls or World of Warcraft or arranging your units in StarCraft. Like, yeah.
Maybe that's the selling feature for Minecraft. Just like time to dick is 0.
Time to dick is 0 in that game.
Like, the game is built around time to dick being as minimal as possible.
Well, hold on. Is that where we get the phrase dicking around?
Oh, no.
There's no way. There's no way.
There's no way.
No, but
dicking around came well before time to dick.
Yeah.
But
100%.
Yeah. No, I can see where that definition comes from. I think for me, like, my personal understanding of art is a lot broader than that.
Okay.
And, like, the act of creation that is in some way lasting or observable.
Okay.
Like, art exists in the moment between the artist and the observer can be self. Like,
all right.
I get that that's like some pretentious bullshit, but like,
well, yeah, you say that, but your fucking pretentious art school is dead, so maybe I'm right.
I mean, yeah, maybe. Couple of other things is that, like, games exist as an agreement. Everybody has to agree on the rules, or you're just playing Calvin Ball, and it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
And then the other one that I wanted to touch on is that games are inherently not passive. They require participants to act.
Right.
If you do not act in the game, you are not playing the game, and thus you are not engaged with that activity. So you're not actually doing game.
Yeah.
And to tie that back to the ludonarrative dissonance stuff, every definition of game has a reason that ludonarrative dissonance is a complicating factor for it. Like, not necessarily a bad thing. Like, I think one of the things that we kind of run into in discussions of ludonarrative dissonance is that, like, there's an assumption that it's bad.
Sure.
But that isn't necessarily true.
No.
It just requires that whatever it is that you're making be uncomfortable on purpose.
Right.
Right. So I think that, like, Spec Ops: The Line, and the reason that got as much attention on it as it did, and the reason that it, like, coined the term, is because it did use ludonarrative dissonance in an interesting way.
Right.
Right. Like, it created a feeling of despair and hopelessness and helplessness. There was a choice in the game that I saw in a video essay, because, again, I haven't played the game, but there was a choice in the game where they put you in a situation where you could either kill a compatriot to kill them quickly, or you could start killing people to save them from their execution. And the thing that they never told you is that there were other options.
Right.
Right. Like, the game itself had other options built into it for how you could approach that, but the story told you these are your options.
Right. There's, like, let's say 6 options. The story presented 2 of them.
Yes. And the 2 that it presented were the worst options. every other option had a better outcome, but those 2 were the ones that you were given.
Yeah.
Right. And that is a masterful use of ludonarrative dissonance. Because through, like, subsequent playthroughs, if you try one of those other things, you're like, oh shit, if I shoot the rope that they're about to hang this guy with, that does something different.
Yeah.
And they never suggested that that's an option. They never suggested that's a possibility. I've never shot a rope in any other situation in this fucking game.
Yeah.
But they didn't tell me where the bullet had to go.
Yeah. I wonder... I'm just curious how, like, choice is presented to the character in general in the game. I've never played it as well. But, like... is one person just in your ear saying you could do this or this while you have full control over your character and the options to do whatever, or like is it more like an A/B situation where it's like, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And then you have to like force yourself to break away from what's happening next. Like,
my understanding is that you have a team of people around you, that are discussing options and like how to approach things.
Yeah,
and so like you're part of a military unit, and they're like, look, we can take out our guy and make sure that he dies quick and easy, or we can start a fight. Right. And those are the options that are presented to you by your incredibly uncreative compatriots. And then any creative options that you have on top of that, those are something for you to come up with.
Yeah, fair.
Which is interesting, and it is jarring.
Yeah.
Right, to realize that there are other options, that you could have done something differently, is a difficult feeling to live with sometimes in games. Like, and again, I think we see this in role-playing games where you do the big action, you have your moment of cool, and then you flub it with a natural 2.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm trying to think of how many times, because I mean, I what I have found myself more and more frequently wanting to do is, I don't want to say like do away with skills and skill rolls, but really just like change my parameters for requiring one. Does that make sense?
Trail of Cthulhu.
I probably didn't touch it because it said Cthulhu.
That's fair. Robin Laws put together a game called the Gumshoe System.
Yeah.
Where if you are skilled in a thing where chance is not necessarily a factor, you just automatically succeed.
Yeah.
Right? Like, the thing that he was trying to get around in that game was, you enter a room, you are an investigator. That is your job. It's what you've been trained to do, but you rolled so fucking bad that you can't find the obvious clue.
Yeah.
And the game crawls to a fucking halt.
Yeah.
Because if you don't find the clue, you have nothing to go on.
Yeah.
Unless the DM decides to put the clue in a different place in a different way where your roll didn't actually matter, in which case, why fucking roll in the first place?
Yeah. Yeah, like, so, to my mind, it's like, oh, well, the reason we brought along this rogue was their skill at lockpicking. Therefore, you would assume a certain level of I can always pick. Like, I'm not a locksmith. I've had a little bit of training in how to do like lock repair and key mastering, and I can pick a lock if it's a certain type of lock. I just can.
Yeah. I think that you can make those types of skills more interesting by having them pass automatically in circumstances where you aren't stressed.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you have enough time, if you have the opportunity to like sit down and prepare, you have the tools that you need, you like have your whole like ritual, whatever it is that you're going to do to pick the fucking lock, then you just pick the lock. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Right? But if you are in the middle of combat and you need to open this lock and there's water rising in the room, it's a little more fucking difficult. And your ability to pick that lock becomes more in question. And I think that's a good use for a roll in that case. And I think Robin Laws agrees, and that's part of why, like, when you're in a gunfight, you just roll all skills.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
If you just walked into a fucking room, investigating's your job, so you investigate and you find the fucking thing.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I can take my time looking around this room. I'm not under any sort of pressure. Unless I am, and then maybe I might fudge it, you know? Like, oops.
Yeah. And I think that also creates kind of the opposite of ludonarrative dissonance. It's called ludonarrative harmony, and it's where the game system promotes a particular type of play that is expected by the narrative.
Right.
And we do see that in some types of games. So like one of my favorite examples of this is actually Mouse Guard, where failure in Mouse Guard is a necessary part of gaining ability and skills.
Mm-hmm.
Because the game wants to promote the idea that you learn more from your failure than you do from your successes.
Okay.
And that is baked into the fucking rules.
Mm-hmm.
So, constraints of the system telling you a thing and the narrative telling you a different thing causes distress.
Yeah.
Mechanics and narrative that are part of a shared experience, something that you're doing with other people, if those things aren't in harmony, it creates a failure of aesthetic unity, which can hurt.
Well, for sure.
And then one of the things that I think is interesting in our notes here is that, like, the note that I have for, because games are not passive, they require you to do a thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you are asked to do things that are morally bankrupt,
mm-hmm.
that implicates you in the doing of the morally bankrupt thing.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting when you take the layer off the game, right? Like, you've put on this value for a while, and the value is killing peasants means I get more mana.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many peasants do I kill? Right? It's not a question of whether or not I'm going to kill any of them.
Yeah.
It's how many am I going to kill? And without that framework of, like, a game where I am trying on a value for a time, I am making a morally abhorrent choice by not killing, like, by killing 0 peasants. Any number that is not 0, right? And so, the interesting thing about ludonarrative dissonance for me is that it can really open up, like, how you feel about games.
Yeah.
Right. Like, how do you incorporate this into your games? How do you mitigate it in your games when you do? Is it something that you mitigate? Is it something that you actively try to court?
Yeah. Well, and this, it's funny that, like, we come at it from the dissonance angle, because, like, I think the flip side of the coin is what I think about a lot more in the board game space. Like,
mm-hmm.
the games that I love are the ones that are best able to, for me, like, allow me to feel like I'm actually inhabiting that role. Like, it's not just like a puzzle to be solved, or you know, some randomness to mitigate, but, like, you know, when I'm playing Ark Nova, do I feel like I'm really the director of a zoo, like, finding new attractions and setting things up to promote conservation efforts? Like, when, you know, one of the reasons I dislike Catan is because I don't feel like I'm actually helping a civilization grow, you know?
Right.
Like, I've played a lot of other civilization games, and Catan is not considered a civilization game, probably because it doesn't feel like you're actually in control of the civilization. But, like, you know, comparing the ones that I've played and loved to the ones that just felt like busy work. I mean, there's I'm not going to name the game because I will get a flack for it, but there is a game out there that's like it was number one on Board Game Geek for a while. It's a revered civilization game. I like it less than other ones that I own because those ones I felt more like I was part of the civilization and not just playing a civilization game, right?
Well, that's that assumption of value, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is really interesting. Right? Like, you have that opportunity to put on a zookeeper's values,
right,
and understand what the constraints of that person's role are through the mechanical constraints that you've placed on the game.
Yeah.
And that is a really interesting way for us to experience other worldviews temporarily. And ludonarrative dissonance can undermine that in a big way.
Well, and what I would love to get a deeper dive on is there's a game from Stonemaier Games that just came out recently called Vantage. And I've been playing it, and I absolutely love it. I think it's a brilliant system where what you're doing is you're playing an exploration game. You and your friends have crash landed on an alien planet, and you've got a vague objective at the start, like I got to collect some crystals or do some other thing to sort of progress the narrative to how am I going to make contact with the rest of the fleet and get home or what have you. But it's essentially a choose your own adventure through the landscape, and every time you go to a new location, you can do one action there from 8 possible ones, and they are all serving the purpose of learning more about the world around you or interacting with the world in some way. You get a little description of what you see when you get there, and then you just kind of choose what to do from the available options. And the mechanics in no way prevent you from doing anything. You always succeed at doing that thing. It's just a matter of what kind of resource strain are you going to have to manage. You're essentially just mitigating the consequences of the action that you're doing. But something as simple as what in any other game would be like an aggressive fight action, in this system is called, I think it's just called like, not like conquer, but I can't remember the exact word off the top of my head, but it's just, I'm just going to like assert my will on this situation. And the way that they've written, the way that plays out in every different situation truly does make you feel like the mechanics allow me to do whatever I want to do. I'm just going to have to, find out what that thing I wanted to do really means in a bigger context. So yeah, like the
interesting for the morality side of it, right? Like the doing of thing, where if you are asserting your dominance over things, what are the consequences of that, and how do you mitigate those consequences in the future?
Like I think they call it like overcome or something like that. Like whether that manifests as you trying to like fight the thing that's in front of you, or you trying to like literally like turn off a storm, right? Is so interesting.
Yeah, that kind of comes back to like the C-Tai and Ewan idea of like striving against obstacle. Imaginary obstacle to do it. And then you just automatically win at strive, which is good. What is your favorite ludonarrative dissonance experience that you've ever had in anything?
I know like what my most memorable ones are, but
punching a wizard on a dragon's back.
Yes, but but I say that, but also at the same time, like I didn't fail at what I was trying to do. Right? Like I rolled well enough to stay on the dragon's back. I obviously succeeded in punching a dead wizard. It's just the consequence of what happened didn't really reflect my success mechanically.
That is fair.
And that is, I feel like that is a type of dissonance where it's just like, this is the reality of what's going to happen no matter how good you were at it.
That's the aesthetic unity side of it, where like you have succeeded at thing and now you're being punished for doing thing.
Right.
Even though your understanding of the goals and the values that were placed on thing suggested that you were going to be rewarded instead.
Right.
My favorite is probably Fiasco.
Okay.
I have played a bit of Fiasco, and the thing that I love about it is that the game sets you up early with the idea of you are going to have big plans. You have really big opportunities that you are going to capitalize on right away. You just need to be kind of a dick to do it.
Right.
And then the entire later half of the game is how all of your striving has crumbled to shit around you. Just
Fiasco.
The worst the Fiasco. Yeah, it is a game that promotes having very organized, well thought out, proper goals, and then rewards absolute fucking chaos.
Right. Yeah.
And that almost perfectly encapsulates the feeling of a Coen Brothers movie.
Oh, yeah. The best laid plans never survive getting punched in the face, or whatever that combination of quotes is.
It's perfect.
Hey, thanks for making it all the way through this episode of No Plot, Only Lore. If you're looking for more, you can always find us at noplotonlylore.com and on all the very best podcast platforms. If you like what you heard today, please share, rate, and review the show to feed my never-ending need for attention and validation.